Yeah! Hello and welcome to another episode of Jacob's House of Rock. In this episode I'll be doing a quick little review of the recent Mastadon concert. So I went to see them and Gojira, who opened up for them at here in Brisbane, Australia, at the Eaton's Hill Hotel venue. Quick little note on that venue: it's basically in North Brisbane. I live in Southeast Brisbane, and it's basically kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's just this. They've now expanded it a lot since I was last there, because I went to see. I saw Uriah Heep, Judas Priest, and Megadeth there before, and it was always like, it was a great venue. It's a really cool sort of looks like an sort of classic style sort of hall with like the balcony up the back, which is where I like to be. So we went up the balcony there, and it's a great venue. Only downside is there's no buses or trains after 8 o'clock going back towards the CBD. And that's a problem when you got about 100 metalheads in the middle of nowhere. That's a lot of taxis that are, it's like 40 minutes away from the city. So, and the concerts always end around midnight, when 11 to midnight or whatever, when all the public transport pretty much dies down anyway. But we managed to get home. We got home at the concert ended about 11. We got home at about 2. But back to the actual concert, the important bit. So starting off, Gojira. Now I'm not actually a big fan of Gojira. I've tried listening to them a bit. The main reason I tried to get into them was, if you guys know my other channel, I'm a huge Godzilla fan and nerd, basically. So I collect Godzilla figures and all that, and Gojira is just Japanese for Godzilla. So I tried to get into them, but I never really melded with their stuff. I mean, I like some of their songs, like Flying Whales. The riff at the beginning of that's amazing, and that one was really good live. But they're a bit too breakdown heavy for me, and sort of a bit too core. So I'm more into the classic heavy metal, some of their more proggy elements I really like, because I'm big into hard rock, classic heavy metal, thrash, that sort of stuff. But once you start getting into some of the more core genres, and but they were better than I expected. Like I said, some parts were really captivating, the more proggy stuff they had in there, and their actual technical sounds at the, I was on the balcony right above the little sound mixing pen that they had down below, and they did a good job, and they sounded great. The mixing and everything was really good. And they played maybe like 40 minutes. Everyone was rocking out pretty hardcore. It was pretty crowded downstairs. I've got to fly. It was pretty crowded downstairs, but upstairs, it was actually not very many people. It was just they have the railing across the balcony, and it was packed right at the railing, but there was just one row, continuous row pretty much, that went around. But downstairs was really packed, and some moshing and people crowd surfing. It was actually kind of funny watching a lot of the people that were crowd surfing down below. They were being pushed towards the front of the stage, and then the bouncers there basically just took them out to the side door and kicked them out. So I have no idea if they got back in or not, but it was just felt sorry for them. But anyway. So yeah, they sounded good. Gojira. It was quite funny. The front man, he like sings in that very aggressive sort of manner, almost like a black metal-esque sort of early black metal-esque sort of type singing. But then when you hear him talk, he sounds like this sort of life coach dude who's like, "Are you alive?" And he's all like, sounded like really happy and funny, like it was just funny because it completely like once he started singing all the aggressively, it like it just felt really like random and didn't really meld with his normal talking voice. So yeah, that was my experience of Gojira. They were a good opening act, but I wouldn't really go see them just to see them at any time. But for the most part, I was entertained through that part. But like I said, some of the breakdowns and stuff where there was just completely lacking any melody, uh, it was a bit. I yawned through a couple of bits of that. Um, but when so what was pretty cool after that was they because they don't have a curtain that comes around the stage at Eden's Hill. So you got to see them basically take the smaller amps that are in front, because behind there's these big amp stacks, some Marshall ampegs on one side, and then you have like these orange cabs on the other, these big stacks. So they pulled away, so we got to see them actually set up the stage for Mastadon, which is pretty cool. They pulled away all these little amps on the side. They like just a couple of four by fours in a row, and then there were like the four by 12 speakers, and then there were some stacks of those at the back, and that was Mastodon stuff basically. So they added some more orange cabs. Funny thing is, they didn't actually have the amps sitting on top of the cabs. They were like off to the side. You can see like three Marshall plexis or something or along those lines, just in a row. And the only amp they actually had was the Ampeg, like what was 8 by 12 with like an SVT or something on top of that. So that was interesting, and it was just nice to watch them set up the stage, and some of the roadies that did the sound tests had like these funny moments where they just played some riffs and all. That was cool. And so Mastodon, this is my I'm a new fan to Mastodon actually. Pretty much the last album, Emperor of Sand. That's how I got into Mastodon, because I heard what was it, Steam Breather on a radio channel here in Brisbane called Break Your Fingers Laughing, and that's on Triple Z, 4 Triple Z. Very good radio station. I highly recommend checking that one out. It's on from what was it, 8 to 10 on Saturdays. 4 Triple. God, that fly. Sorry about that. So that's how I got into Mastodon, and yeah, I love the album because it's got like the classic metal, and it's got the even more like hardcore stuff, but then it's got the really progressive instrumentation and all these cool effects on it. And I've listened to some of their earlier stuff, but still Emperor of Sand, top notch. And they kicked it off with, I think, the first song from Emperor of Sand, and they were playing beautifully. I had a little issue with the sound mixing of it at first. It sounded like something was off in the mid-range, and the highs were just a bit too brittle. But they fixed that up within a song or two, and the set was very solid. Sounded very good. There was some, some definitely some standout songs, like Steam Breather was one, and I forgot what it's called, but it's that one off the Emperor Sand album that like has mixed opinions. That some people are like, oh, they're selling out because it's more straightforward, and like, but I don't know. That was just such a feel-good tune and so catchy, and just it still is nowhere near mainstream by any means. It's just like good classic metal. So I love that song. That was one of the best. And there was you could tell instantly that like Gojira was very much like play loud and aggressive and like a showy sort of band. Their light show was incredible, and like they had all these steam puff things that just bursted, you know, that fog into the air, and those looked really awesome on the concert. But Mastodon, the light show was, you know, a little more laid back, and like you could tell for the most part, they were paying more attention to what they were playing and the song than like how much they were jumping around and headbanging than the other band, because their stuff was a little more straightforward for the most part. So there was like so you could see the real musicianship from those guys, and they're doing great stuff. So. What else can I say? Just I if you get a chance to see them, I highly recommend it. Fan of, you know, classic heavy metal, you won't regret it. And yeah, that's my quick little review of Mastodon live at Eaton's Hill Hotel in Brisbane, Australia in 2018. So thank you guys for watching. I'll be doing some more little quick reviews of, you know, things here and there. I mean, this channel is mostly for like just guitar, more techie electronics gear stuff, but this is basically just everything to do with music that's not my actual band channel. It's all the behind the scenes stuff, and I figured since I may as well do a couple of reviews, so I might even do some album reviews and stuff like that later. But I will be reviewing because in like less than 2 weeks in the same venue, Eaton's Hill Hotel, I'll be seeing Primus, one of my favorite bands, and you know, I'm like about 60-70% a bass player and 30-40% a guitar player, so I'm big into the bass, and I love Les Claypool, and like I haven't seen very many more funky sort of those 90s bands play live, but I saw Living Colour, and that was one of the best concerts I've been to. So I saw them the other year at the Trifid, I believe. It's this weird venue that's shaped kind of like half, like you're inside a tin can, but like half a tin can, sort of like a, and that also has a balcony, and that Living Colour was amazing. But so I'm really looking forward to Primus because they got some funky stuff, some very different sounds to a lot of the concerts that I go to. So very excited for that one. So I'll definitely be doing a review of that, and I'm making a lot of progress on a couple of other videos, especially in my Rickenbacker modding series. So Chinese Chickenbacker, Rickenbacker copy bass modding series. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, do keep an eye out for that. And yeah, stay positive, guys, and yeah, keep on rocking. Peace.